So, you're a labor and delivery nurse. So, tell me a little bit about what your day might look like as a nurse.
So typically, labor and delivery nurses, we like start our day off with changing our clothes. Because you probably see lots of nurses coming in scrubs, but your labor and delivery nurses, they probably come in regular clothes because we try to be as clean as possible for the patients and for any scenarios happening. So we change our clothes, we go to our huddle where our charge nurse leads us and tells us about what we're expecting on our unit, what's currently there. She gives us our assignment, which is like what we're going to be doing for the day. We get report from the previous nurse. Sometimes you can come in and someone's pushing. Sometimes you can come in and they're laboring 5 centimeter, maybe 2 centimeter. They're at different points or different parts of their labor. Sometimes, depending on the route of the patient goes, you just go with the flow and go with however the body's leading and ultimately having a baby. And sometimes that could be your whole day, or maybe that could be a part of your day. And then it happens all over again because another patient comes in ready to have a baby and you're ready to receive them. And then at the end of that, we transfer them off to another unit, to the postpartum unit.
So, on one during one shift, you could have several people who are delivering. So you deliver one, then after you're done with that, then you jump to the next mom.
Yes, as people come in the door, we're here to receive them. So you could have a delivery, and as soon as you take your patient to the postpartum unit, you come back and you have another delivery or you have another laboring mom. So you could have several in a day. One nurse could have a couple in a day, or yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it's probably a little bit fast paced. So, how did you feel coming straight from graduating school and getting right into being a labor and delivery nurse?
There is a big transition with being a tech versus being a nurse. Something that has been amazing was being a tech and getting that hands-on experience and really being able to see what happens on the unit. And something that helped is having educators that support you. And a lot of new nurses, we have to go through new grad residency. And also, my job, we had a program where every month we would have a meeting with our educator and we would have like classes and sessions with that educator. And I had an incredible educator. If not for my educator, she is the person that kept me and a lot of us going. And she was there for questions in the morning, in the evening, and every time she was there to answer questions and to make it all less nerve-wracking experience and try to guide us in. And there's areas where you're like, questioning, you're like, oh, should I ask about this? She's always asking me questions, a bad question. So with her leadership and her guidance, that has helped me to be the nurse that I am today.
That's awesome. It sounds like if as new nurses are coming in, and they should really try to work somewhere that has educators, that has some type of mentorship program. The residency program sounds like it was really helpful in helping with the transition from the classroom or from clinical experience or from being a tech into going into being a full-fledged labor and delivery nurse. So what did you find to be challenging or most challenging about being a labor and delivery nurse?
I think that the two things I would say is one, I think that some people think that being a labor and delivery nurse, you literally get to just cuddle and snuggle little babies and wrap them up in a burrito and hold them all day. But there's challenges, there's different things that happen and that we see and that we face, and there's different difficulties that you get challenged with. So I think seeing that reality of there are really healthy moms, there are sicker moms, there are different processes in the birthing process that a patient could go through. So learning that and being like, okay, every pregnancy is different, every body's different, every baby's different. You could be pregnant 4 times, and each time is a very different pregnancy. So knowing that, that was like a challenge to be like, oh, okay, this is how it goes. Oh, and it goes like this today, and it goes like that tomorrow. Knowing those differences. Also, another challenge that I would say was being able to speak up and like advocate for myself. Like I know sometimes like in your preceptorship, like when you first start, you have a preceptor. So you and your preceptor, she teaches you or he or she teaches you everything you need to know as a nurse, and you have that orientation. Some places are like 12 to 16 weeks. So you have that orientation and building good rapport and everything like that. And sometimes I was so nervous to talk to my preceptor or ask a question, and then weeks would go and I'm like, dang it, I should have asked for this question in the beginning, but now I'm nervous and I'm scared and she's going to think that I don't know this. And I was so nervous to talk to my preceptor. So that preceptor relationship is very important. And like we've mentioned with like mentorship and that educator, luckily I'm able to lean back on my educator. I forgot to ask a question and this is the answer. However, don't be afraid, ask your question, talk to your preceptor and make it be known. No question is stupid and everything like that. So knowing that if you have a question or you're like, wait, is my preceptor happy with me or upset with me? Like, how do I do this? Because it's out of love. They love you and they want to ensure that you are the best nurse possible. So always making sure that's a good balance. I think that those were my two challenges of learning when I first became a nurse.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing those. I like what you mentioned about, first of all, with just labor and delivery, it sounds like it's fast paced. There's different things happening at different times. You never know what to expect on any given day. I like that it mentioned that it's not just about sitting there and snuggling babies and just sunshine and rainbow all the time, that there can be other things that come up. And you know what I thought about? I'm like, actually, if somebody's a labor and delivery nurse, most of the time your patient is pregnant, right? And
Yeah.
the time with the baby is probably very minimal, right? But most of the time is you're dealing with the mom and trying to help the patient to get through labor and everything. And your time with the child is probably very minimal. Probably like a unit partner or a nursery. There you'll probably be able to interact a little bit more with
They
but it can be unexpected and a lot going on, I'm sure.
absolutely. It's like when someone has a baby, they want to hold their own baby. They don't have the baby and say, hey, here, nurse, you can hold the baby and have the baby. They're like, this is my baby, finally. So that is correct.
Nice. So have you had experience working in other units that involve mothers and children or the patient and child?
I worked in the mother baby unit slash a postpartum unit after they delivered. And you're absolutely right with you are able to interact with the baby a little bit more. You're doing more things with the baby and more checkups and things like that. And as time gives, sometimes you can help with feedings and diaper changes and stuff. So you start to interact a little bit more with the babies during those times.
Nice. So tell me the most rewarding part of your job. What do you enjoy most, or what is just extremely fulfilling about it?
I really think that helping moms in their most vulnerable time and moment, special and vulnerable time, just being there to be their aid, to help and support them during that time is very rewarding. I love to see a smile on my patients. Sometimes they're not always smiling through it all, but
Mhm.
afterwards you just feel rewarded. Yes, mom's good, baby's good, everyone's good. Like you're grateful. And I really love that. I go to work and I leave and I'm like, I feel like I made a change. I feel like I did something. I feel good about the work that I did. So that's the most rewarding part of my job. My patients truly give me joy. Even as a new nurse when I first started and going through residency and going through all your education. So sometimes you can be at work several times a week because you're doing your 3 shifts, you're doing your educations, you're doing your projects and all sorts of things like that. And at the end of the day, sometimes my toughest times, the only thing that would truly give me joy was my patient.
Hmm. Tell me about the toughest time. What time do you feel was just the toughest shift that you ever had, and how did you recover from it?
I think that the toughest times in a shift is when I think when your first emergency comes and you're like, wait, I'm so used to like everything on a date, like on a basis going like this, or maybe maneuvers a little bit in one way or another. But when you have that first emergency, and luckily you have team members that are there to help, but when you feel helpless, wait, like you like a fish out of water, I think that was one of my toughest times. Yeah.
But then how did you recover from that?
Luckily, and you're going to say that I'm talking a lot about my educator, but my educator wants to know everything. She was someone that was very invested in our education and our growth as a nurse, where she's like, when you hit your first emergency, call me, text me, email me. I want to know about it. I want to know what went well, what did not go well, what could you have learned during that time? What are things that we could have done, or to make things go smoother? What did you not get? What did you get? And what can we help you with in the next times of such things occurring? So being able to go back to my educator and say, hey, this actually happened today. And this is like, I did this. She's good job. You did that and that. And I'm like, and I didn't know what to do with this and this. And she's like, oh, and that's okay. This is what we do. And luckily you have other people that are coming and helping you and supporting you during that new time and your first experiences. Yeah.
Nice. Sound like you were extremely supported. You had your educator there. Educators sound awesome. That they were there to support, to help you along the way. Are there any final tips that you have for any new nurses who want to be labor and delivery nurse?
You got this. Ask questions. No question's a dumb question. We're all a team. Do not be afraid to advocate. The worst you can be told is no. And it's okay if you even ask the wrong question or ask like a wrong thing, knowing that you are trying to advocate for the safety of your patient. The safety of your patient is your priority. If you're questioning anything, question it aloud. Don't whisper and just hold it within your heart. Ask the charge nurse, ask the doctor. And someone says, what? You're absolutely wrong. That's okay. At least you asked. You would hate to not ask a question and then you're like, why didn't you ask, or why didn't you say anything? So ask those questions and know that it's not a stab or jab at your own ego, but it's for the safety of our patients. Those are our priority. That's why we're here. Remember your why. Remember why you're doing what you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chief, for sharing a little bit about your experiences. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sure.